Yo, what's up, y'all? It's your boy Tigmatic. Welcome to another episode of The Pot. We are here. Episode 25, y'all. The numbers are stacking. We stacking, y'all. Episode 25. And tonight, I bring you a distinguished author, a poet if you know it, a writer, a gentle soul, energetic soul, family, and she's here, y'all. So without further ado, I give y'all Nima Shiningstar-El. You know what I'm saying? How you doing?
What it do? What it do? What it do? Visual crew, you know what it is. Nima Shiningstar-El in the building, Philadelphia.
Yeah. So what it is, like how you feeling today? You know what I mean? Tell people how you feeling a little bit before we get into it.
You know what? I'm feeling good. I'm feeling exhausted, but it's a good exhausted. You know, a lot going on during the spring and the summer with the family. So, you know, I'm moving in every direction. I got some new work coming out. So it's a blessing, you know, for my brothers and sisters, you know, it's inshallah, mashallah, you know, you wake up, the Most High wake you up, it's up to you after that. You do. Absolutely. So that's where we at.
Absolutely. So why don't you tell the people a bit about yourself, Nima? Like, break it down to them for a science. You watch the show, so you know how I do it. You know what I'm saying? So break it down for us a bit and tell them who you are and what you do. You know what I mean?
All right. So my name is Nima Shiningstar-El, just like my family said. Philadelphia in the building. Writer, poet, spoken word artist, playwright. First and foremost, human being. Second of all, you know what I mean? Mother, you know, that kind of thing, grandmother. But, you know, it's a blessing to be able to do all the things that I'm doing. Writing books and creating, and I have a couple of shows on social media, quite a few shows actually on social media. So I just want to reach people where they stand. I want to give people information, be informative, but I also want people to be able to look at my shows and say, you know what, Nima's cool. I feel like talking. You know, you might be in a crisis, you might need some help. So I have a lot of different things under my belt. Also, I'm an advocate, you know, been an advocate, domestic violence advocate for many, many, many years. So
that's dope. So why don't you tell the people how you got started in the which one you started first? Was it radio personality first, or was it writing first?
It was writing first. It was writing first.
So let's talk about that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Start where you want to start from, though. You know what I mean? How did you get into writing? And what was the first thing you wrote? Tell people a bit about that a bit.
Yo, let me tell you, I love that story. I'm glad you asked that question. That's a good question. I actually been writing since I was in the 4th grade. That's way, way back. So back in the day when people actually went to a library, some people still do. But where I went, there was a section called the Easy Read section, and there was a section a little older for mature readers. And it was like I read a lot of horror stories. So I was reading like Alfred Hitchcock and Edgar Allan Poe and things like that. So I had a love for reading since 4th grade. And I wrote a song one day. I wrote a song and I wrote a story, a quick read, like 5-page story about a child being lost in the mall. Now, mind you, I'm in 4th grade, never been to a mall. Never been to a mall. And in 4th grade, I'm like 12, maybe 10. I don't know if that's 10, 12, but never been to a mall, but I saw it on television. So I wrote a story about a child getting lost. But I also wrote a song. It was crazy, but for 4th grade, back in those days, it was all right. So can I give you a little bit of it?
Go ahead, give it to me.
Okay. So the hook really was, it was called I'll Get Revenge on You. 4th grade, okay? Had my heart broken. So no puppy love. And it was like, no matter how hard I tried to love you, you still broke my heart. 1 and 2, I'll get revenge on you. So that was in 4th grade. So I still remember it to this day. So that's how it got started. From there, I just start writing little stories. And I think my first poem I actually remember writing back in 1988. 1988. That was the year I graduated high school.
Hey. Hey, I was a young boy then. I was,
1988. So, and that's where my love came from. And back then I used to think that it was not a poem if it didn't rhyme. If you couldn't snap fingers to it or make a beat. And then I start reading more and more and I realized that nah, let it flow. Don't even think. Sometimes it's not even about thinking too much. It's about a feeling, it's about a movement, and it's about letting your pen flow. And sometimes I get into the so deep into it that I can be writing and I'm like, wait a minute, where did this come from? Who wrote this? And I'm like, wait, did I write this? I couldn't have. But that's how it is.
So as you started to, write your stories, who was the first person to see that you had a love and passion for writing?
Excuse me. An ex-boyfriend way back when. Because I wrote a poem about him. Again, inspiration comes from every place. So of course,
Absolutely.
Being a teenager, getting your heart broke again, it's like, I need to write this out. So
that made you very expressive. So you're an expressive writer.
Yes,
and I know this because I see the content that you've been posting for years, ever since I knew you. You know what I'm saying? And it's all sorts of content, folks. Some of it is adult content. Some of it is, deep content. It's all sorts of stuff. You know what I mean? But as you started to have these feelings and putting them on the paper, tell the people a bit about how you got into writing books. You know what I'm saying? Like, tell the people about that. How many books do you have? First of all, let's start there. How many books do you have?
Right now, published, I have 15 books.
Wow, 15 books.
Good. Yeah, 15 books of all genres. So, there was a time where I used to be hardcore, and it would just be hardcore erotic. Now, here's the thing, for those that like erotic. There are levels. There's levels to everything, and I get it. Sometimes you have beautiful wordplay and metaphors and all this good stuff. And I was that person for a while, but then I just was like, you know what? Hardcore, straight lace, no chase. That's how I did it, because
I
have read people's work, and I always thought to myself, I don't want people to have to pick up my book and then grab a dictionary, which is great. There's nothing wrong with that. Grab a dictionary or Google to figure out what I'm talking about, because you might not have the time and the patience. So I need people to know exactly what I'm saying when I say it. And so I started writing that, and then I started writing other things. And it's funny because let me tell you, to all my writers, I don't know if I'm the only one that goes through this, but no matter what you write, people will love it if you don't have it. So I would have people saying, oh, if you wrote more than erotic, I would buy your books. I would do this, I would do that.
I told them, that's the same thing with music too as well. People be like, oh, if you made this type of music, man, that's what I listen to. And you never can satisfy everybody. You know what I'm saying? That's one thing that I learned on this journey. Even with this show, if you will, like some people dig it, some people don't, because it's mental health based, and some people don't like to share their stories. You know what I'm saying? Because some people don't like to share.
And I'm a sharer. I'm like, what's up?
So, how did you get started into making the erotic? Like what was the thing for you that made you start off that way? Like, explain it to the people.
Honestly, it was experience. It was experience. And I said, man, I wanna write this down. Let me, if I could go back. I don't want to be too long winded, but I could talk. All right.
Hey,
So,
look, we on the pot. We on the
okay.
pot.
Okay.
And
Okay.
I told you, it's a
Okay.
family episode.
All
So
right.
we
All
do
right.
what we do out here.
So there's a song, and I always relate to songs, movies. There's a song, may she rest in peace, by a sister. Her name was Betty Wright. And there was a song that everybody knew, was sampled so many times, Tonight is the Night.
Right.
And talks about in that song how she wrote poetry and she was 14. And her manager saw her book of poems. It was like, oh, people need to hear about this, Betty. And
Right.
as she says, I to quote her, I took it home to my mother and I let my mother read it. And she said, baby, the words are so sweet and the melody is real nice, but I know you're not going to sing this song.
Right.
And that's how it started. So I went from experience and I had to slide some things by my mother and my elders, because I was very expressive. And so my first experience is no secret to anybody that knows me. I had a child at a very young age. So when other teenagers were doing other things, I was doing other things. And so it came out in my writing. And that's how that got started. And then once I had other experiences, I wrote about those and it just took off.
Okay, so what was the name of the first book that you published?
The first book that I ever published was not until the 2013, 2014, and it's called Poems, Quotes, and Thoughts Provoked. And that's
Tell the people about it. Break it down.
And that literally every book that I write, the title is what it is. So it's a book of poetry. It's a book of quotes that I made up. And it's also a book of interviews. If anybody is familiar with the movie Brown Sugar, Sanaa Lathan, her character always asked the hip hop artist that she was interviewing, so when did you fall in love with hip hop? So during my interviews, I was like, when did you fall in love with poetry? So I interviewed different poets in the city of Philadelphia, and those interviews are in that book. So, and what it is that thoughts provoke, is to provoke your mind, provoke thought, have you thinking about different things, whether it's love, sex, let's not get too twisted, love, sex, relationships. Yeah, they are different. And just have people thinking, like, use your brain and come up with some ideas and some thoughts. So that was my first book. And with all my books, I always try to use my own photography. So most of my books either have one of my paintings on the cover or a picture, a selfie that I took, most of them.
Right. Yeah, that's dope.
You.
So as you begin your journey on the writing and you started to get more comfortable, you know what I'm saying? You're more comfortable and you get more confidence as an author. Right? What was the inspiration behind the next few books? Like, tell the people a bit about that.
Okay,
a lot of times people, go ahead.
No, please go ahead, because I didn't let you finish your
thought. I want to say, because a lot of times people draw inspiration from so many different places, and I know that you're a deep person. So what is your where's the inspiration coming from? Tell us a bit about that. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. So the next couple of books, the next book was erotic, erotic short stories and erotic poetry. And those short stories, again, some of them came from experiences, and then some of them came from experiences that I added to, so you got a little fiction and nonfiction mixed in.
Right.
People always wanted to know, well, what part is true? What part is like, word behind it?
Right. So as you did the nonfiction part, that's what I'm saying. Tell me a bit about what was it that was an inspiration to put the nonfiction part in there with the fiction? Was there was there anybody that you saw that you read books you read that did the same thing and you follow suit? Like, who were those people? Like, who were the influences?
Honestly, when it comes to my books, I have to, first of all, I have to give props, and salute anyone that has written a book, whether people like it or not. But of course, the poets, the heavy hitters, we all love Sonia Sanchez. We all love Dr. Maya Angelou. I
Right.
mean, the list goes on and on and on. I love Edgar Allan Poe, but I didn't actually fashion my writing after any of them. What I did was
Right.
I said in my head, like, okay, I have a few books that are all based on all poetry, but you know what? I got a million stories in my head. So when I'm on the bus sometimes, I can listen to a couple arguing, or I can see a couple holding hands, or I can look out of the window as I'm on the bus and just see a man standing at the bus stop, and I'll make a whole story up about this individual. Or I'll ride past an abandoned house. And here's the thing, is so strange with me. When I'm riding past an abandoned house, excuse me, in the city, I can look at that house and create a whole entire story around it as if I knew who lived there. You know,
Right. So basically, you can draw inspiration from anything. It
anywhere,
sounds like. You know what I'm saying?
anywhere.
That's what's up.
I'm gonna tell you about this story, and I'm not gonna lie. I threw it. I actually, and I hate to say this because I hope that my management and my publisher is not watching. Shout out to Brother Born Free. But there was a book that I started writing maybe like 15 years ago, and I actually threw it in the trash and never started it again because I started to scare myself, because that was my first like complete horror story. The whole book was just, there was no uh go between, there was no intermission. It was just straight up a short novel. And I actually drew inspiration from my mother. Okay, let me tell you this really quick. So my mother, many years ago, for all the family that know, my mother, along with a lot of the cousins, older cousins, they grew up under my great grandmother, and they all called her mother.
Right.
And which is your wife's great grandmother.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. So they called her mother. And there was a house. She owned two houses. They're no longer there, but she owned two houses in Philly back in the day. We don't know what happened to them. They knocked them down, whatever. But there was a lot of stuff going on around these houses. But it was a lot of, like, I don't want to say folklore and tales. You don't know, because I don't want to discredit anything. But the point was that my mother told me a story when I was very young, how she just used to, she was one of the youngest cousins that used to hang out, and she used to be sad sometimes because she wanted to go out and play and couldn't go out and play. So she told me where the houses were, or one of the houses. And one day when I was working in that area, I decided to walk down that block. And I just walked down the block. And all of a sudden, as I'm walking down the block, a whole story came to me. Now, the house was no longer there, but there were trees where the house used to be. So I just stood there for a little while, and the whole story came to me, and it was called The Little Girl in the Window. And as I'm writing it, I got so shook that I had to throw it in the trash. So that's yeah, man. I said, anytime you write something, you scare yourself. You need, so I threw it in the trash, never to
You
be
threw it in the trash. So wait. You threw the book in the trash.
It was like
you never thought to like revamp? Did you ever think to revamp or like
No.
re-put this book back out?
No.
So
It was like
that
two
dark
composition
that
movies.
scared you.
Yeah, I scared the crap out of myself. I was like, my mother, and she was like, I never told you that part. How did you know? I was like, I just made it up. She was like, you made that part up? She was like, no, that actually happened. I was like, what? She was like, you had to hear that story. What you're saying right now, you had to hear that. I said, no, I never heard any of this. That was enough for me. I took both composition notebooks, this was years ago, and I'm done with it. But that's how I like to, I get submerged into my writing and my work sometimes, that I have to pull myself out.
Okay.
Everywhere and everybody.
Oh man. So you can write horror, you can write spoken word. How did you get into spoken word? Tell the people a bit about that. What was the inspiration behind spoken word?
Man, honestly, just sitting at the table one day, in high school, sitting at the table one day and thinking about all the things that I wanted to say to this brother. And I couldn't, I used to write letters for my friends to their boyfriends. I just said, don't ever tell them that you're not writing these letters. Take it home, copy it, whatever.
Right.
Because I was better at writing down than saying them. And so I thought about all the things I wanted to say to this brother, and I just wrote it down, and I decided to give it to him, and I just held on to it. I was like, wait a minute, this is deep. I was like, man, this is really poetic. I was like, man, this is really poetic. I was like, oh, this is really poetic. I was like, you know what? I'm going to save that. So every time I write something, I just stack them. And for all of you writers, you know, you write on basketball covers, you write on toy issue, when you get inspired, you write on everything. So every time I got a new composition notebook, I just wrote it and tossed it in the closet. And one day I was like, it has to come out. Because this is my goal. My goal is no matter what, I want to make sure I purge. I want to make sure that everything I've ever want to say comes out in a book, and when my time comes and I'm called from this earth, that I don't leave anything unsaid. You know, that's how that went. I just, I start writing, and I looked at my work and I'm like, oh, that sounds poetic. And then I started saying it out loud, and then people started saying, well, can you come and say that at my graduation, or can you come and say that? And I'm like, well, I can't say that, but I can write you something, or I can write something. And so I started doing that. And you know what? Here's the crazy thing about that. Writing my work, I think I'm the only person that I know that cannot memorize my stuff. I cannot. I can write it down right on the spot. But there's no way. Like, people have said, like, yo, you want to do this show? And I'm like, yeah, I'll do it. I'm like, they're like, just go off the dome, because we know you go off the dome a lot. And I'm like, yeah, but a lot of times when I'm going off the dome, I'm looking at what I'm writing it down as I'm going off.
Yeah.
And I can sing it.
You're trying to format.
Yeah. So, that's how that goes. I've drawn inspiration from everywhere, and I went from, and people always say, well, what's the difference? Like, poetry and spoken word, what's the difference? I'm like, poetry is written, spoken word is written, but it comes out. You know what I mean? It comes out verbally. I say poetry is the work, spoken word is what inspires the work. That's how I look at it.
Right. All right, so that's dope, you know what I'm saying? So tell the people about your company, you know what I'm saying, and how they got started. You know what I'm saying? Break that down for the people. And then we're going to go into the radio personality side of it. You know what I'm saying? So break that down. You know what I'm saying? Tell people about it.
Okay, so I have the company is called Nima Girl Productions. I always say, if you're going to have something, have your name in it, your husband, your wife, your children, whatever. Have something that belongs to you. And I also had to get my my management team to actually do the legal work behind it, because I didn't even realize, like, that works for you, but we decided we wanted it, like, whatever. But so Nima Girl Productions, I have so much under my belt. There's so many things that I'm doing. And I said, man, this is like a production company, photography and painting and books and the radio show. So I said, no, I need to put all of this under one umbrella. So what do I want to call it? I'm Nima, Nima Girl and Productions, because it is a production. I'm performing, I'm putting things out. People are watching and listening and purchasing or whatever they're doing. But I also said that in the end, my ultimate goal is to have an actual building, for myself and for my children and my grandchildren. And on every floor, there's something for everybody. It's like a one-stop shop. Like, oh, you want erotic books? That section. Oh, you want, love stories or horror stories? That section. Oh, photography? That's on the second floor. Oh, wait, well, what's on the third floor? Oh, that's the art, that's the artwork. She got all her paintings and her children's paintings and blah, blah, blah. So
Right.
every level, there's something different. What are they doing, in the back? Oh, that's where they do those plays at, because I'm a playwright. That's where they do the plays at. So that's my ultimate goal. But it's so much stuff. I just say, you know what? What am I doing? I'm producing and I'm presenting. So Nima Girl Productions, that's where
One
that's what it
woman machine, you know what I'm saying? You like a machine out this thing, you
yeah,
know what I'm saying?
it's like,
Yes.
and that's what we do as when you start having children, you're like, yo, what do I want my legacy to be? And also, what do I want to leave for my children? And not just leave, what can they do now? Because a lot of my books actually have poetry from all three of my children, my granddaughter, my mother, my sisters. It's like, I always ask, do you want to do something? You want to put something in? So, so that way they are already published and established. You know what I mean? They have
Right.
work that's already out there.
Right. Working is definitely important, and leaving something behind for your children and teaching them the business and how it goes is one of the main things that we need out here, because it's legacy for one. And for two, it makes your children smarter. So I agree with you that on that note, 1000%, you know what I'm saying? And I commend you for that, because you think about legacy. In our culture, we wasn't really big on legacy like that because of how broken the homes were, right? In our culture. So it's coming back, and things are kind of coming back into the way it should be. But, sometimes we get sidetracked, but that's okay too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
long as you
absolutely.
focus on the goal and you realize what's more important out here. You know what I'm saying? So I
Yep.
commend you for that. So your
Thank
paintings, you're welcome. So your paintings, tell the people about your paintings and how you got into that. Like, did it start off as just something to do, or did you just start to really take, like, what was the moment that you started to take that serious as well?
You know what? I guess I'm just an emotional creature. But again, I was angry at someone, and I just needed something to do. I needed to get that energy out. I mean, I do a lot of different things, but I was like, I was in the house and I was like, okay, let me just write. I said, I couldn't focus. I'm like, I can't focus. I don't want to write anything. Let me listen to some music. Let me, sometimes I get in the dirt and I plant stuff in the dirt. I didn't want to do anything. And I was
Right.
just like, man. And all of a sudden I was like, man, I wish I could paint. I wish I could paint, because I paint something. I can't paint. I would paint something if I could. And I was like, wait a minute. You don't have to know how to paint. Just try. And I went right to the store, like within the next half hour. I went to the store, got some canvases, some paint, and I started painting. And that was my very first painting since I was a child. And that was like, I think that was 2014, I believe, or 2015. And I never forget, I started the painting and I finished it on Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday. So I don't know if that was
That's dope. That's dope.
2015 or 2014, but and that painting today, that's funny. That painting hangs in this house, in my daughter's house, my very first painting. But I was angry with someone. But once I saw the painting, it calmed me down. I felt inspired and I felt better. And I was like, ooh, I like this, because not only do I use the paintbrushes, I use my hands, I use my feet sometimes when I paint. I use a lot of different things. And I was like, ooh, I
Very
like
expressive then. You like to be very expressive in everything that you do.
Yeah, and that made me feel
Hands
good.
and feet on everything.
Yeah,
Literally.
yeah. When you find something that you love and it gives you a feeling, and that could go with a lot of different things, as long as you're trying to be positive. But when it makes you feel good, you're like, oh, wait a minute, I want to try that again. Hold up. And I just got hooked. Like it literally got me to the point where I could be up easily 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. I have to push myself away from the table and away from my art because I'm so involved. And and I said, well, you know what? This is abstract art, right? But I don't want to just call it abstract. I want to call it nabstract. And I'm like, So people were like, well, what is Nabstract? Nabstract is easy. The N from my name, Nima, and
Yeah.
abstract. But instead of using
Right.
one B, because I Googled it, I said, somebody got this. I know somebody has this word already. And I Googled it and I saw another person, he had it with one B. I said, well, you know what? We could share the word. I said, but I'm going to use it, but I'm going to add two B's. It's in from Nima combined with abstract, but I'm putting two B's in it, and that's
Right.
Nab. So I put my own twist on it.
Oh, that's dope. Nabstract.
Yeah.
I like that. That's pretty dope.
Thank you.
So
Thank
tell
you.
the people about Nima, the radio personality. Like, how did you get started into that?
Man.
And tell the people about your passion for that as well. You know what I'm saying?
Man. All right. So one day, listen, I'm always on social media. I'm always trying to support. Back this train up. Back this train up. Ladies and gentlemen, shout out to this brother right here, the man, okay? Tigmatic in the building. For inviting me. First of all, I love this show. If this is your first time tuning in, where you been? Okay? And welcome. Okay? As they said in the movie, I Know What You Did Last Summer. What are you waiting for? Okay? This brother's been doing this thing for a minute, and he's very talented. Hip hop, all kind of stuff. Like he has a lot of stuff under the belt. Black man. He's a man. He's a husband and a father and a black man. So all of that human being comes first. You know what I mean? It's layers and levels.
Yeah,
But
definitely. Most out here, definitely.
I've been waiting to get on this show for a minute. That should have been the first thing that came out my mouth. I'm steady talking.
You know what's crazy though? You was one of the first ones I wanted on, but our timing was just so off. And then when I tried to do it again, my timing was off at that time. It was just completely off.
Because you're busy.
Yeah, it's like the show had just started taking off. So I wasn't really, I feel like I was a little tone deaf in that situation. You know what I'm saying? And it's because of the circumstances, and I apologize to family over it, because I was thinking about mom in that sense, but I also was trying not to be sad. You know what I'm saying? And, excuse me. So yeah, it's when it comes to this, I be so on it that sometimes I don't slow down, and I need to slow down sometimes just to breathe a little. That's why I took almost 3 weeks off prior before starting back up.
You have to.
I needed that reset and things like that, but.
Yeah, I had to give this man his props because I'm getting ready to get into a whole conversation. Whoa.
So let's get into it. You know what I'm saying? We already at the half hour mark. We might make this episode a little bit longer. Who knows? Yeah.
So shout out to Big Woo Radio. We definitely are still on hiatus, but shout out to Big Woo Radio, my Big Woo Radio family. So as I was saying, I like to support different people. So I'm all over social media trying to figure out who I can get on my show to interview and talk about what they do and how can I, whatever. So a friend of mine, an acquaintance of mine, we had a show. We had a show together, a poetry show and so forth. And so she suggested that I, go on Big Woo Radio, and get, they have a spot for me to be interviewed. So go on the show. And Corey Woods, shout out to Big Woo, and JT. And so all of those brothers over there, they had me on the show and they interviewed me. It was a good interview. And it was a call up. It was a call up show. I called in. It went wonderful. I had a nice time. They asked me to come back again. I came back. And after that, they hit me up. It was like, yo, we got a spot, on Friday nights. Do you want to have that spot? It's called the Floetic Poetry Show. So what, I'm like, well, what would I do? And they're like, be comfortable and do what you do. And, you come on, you do some poetry. We would interview people. I mean, we've interviewed people like Adina Howard, Special Ed, brother from Flip Mode Squad. I mean, just a lot of different people that you may know of and may not know of. And it was such a good
how my show is. Some people know of,
but it was a call up.
But just know this, folks. Everybody that's been on my show is a celebrity in their own right in their towns.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
I try to set that precedent, and I understand that. So, you know what I'm saying? I understand that lingo. Not to cut you off, but continue.
No, that's fine. Absolutely. And that's what it is. Truth is truth. And so it went from there. They were like, yo, this is crazy. This is dope. I was the only female, and it was about 3 brothers. So it was good. They did what they did. And we would be on the show for so long. It was a call-in show. We would be on there sometimes. The show was supposed to be an hour. We would end up being on there for like 2 hours, 2.5 hours. So we ended up having to create a spin-off show. And in comes Sister Nyana Renee, who's a beast in the poetry world. And we created this show called, oh my gosh, they're going to kill me. Brutally Honest. And that was more of adult content. And we just went crazy on that. So, but Big Woo Radio, how I got started. And it was just a perfect combination of, me coming on there and adding what I could add. And, and they just gave me the freedom, so we would interview our people. We would do poetry. So I would open and close the show with some poetry. We would invite singers and poets and everybody on. And then we had a segment called Black in Effect, where I would give you Black history all the time. So it was good.
Oh, that's definitely what's up. So you was just bringing positive vibes and energy through the whole thing.
Doing my best.
So tell me this. Which one you like more? Do you like the writing more or the radio personality more?
Oh, I definitely like the writing more because I have soul control and I can say what I want. There's no time limit. My management team just gives me, I can write about whatever I want to write. I can create different characters. I always tell people, literally, I have about 6 or 7 characters, people that live up here. So they all have, that's why you guys get a lot of out of me, because I have about 6 or 7 people living up here. And if they all don't write, they may want to write. And I'm not trying to do that.
Hey, it is what it is.
I mean, like Nima used to
I feel you though. I feel you. We at that mark now. Like we've been a little bit over the mark. We 8 minutes over the mark, but that's cool. You know what I'm saying? Because this interview is dope for one. I love your energy, you know what I'm saying? And it's just like when I was on your show, you know what I'm saying? Then go back on her Instagram and check out that interview, folks. You know what I'm saying? But my part was a little ratchet because you couldn't hear the music as well as like how I could do it now. Like, I wish I would have knew what I know now because I would have been able to have the music. Yeah, we gonna do it again. You know what I'm saying? We gonna do it again. But excuse me. I have one of them itches today. I'm sorry, folks. But,
no, that's what it is. No, it's real. And if you got allergies or asthma, trust me, it will tear you up.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel you. So you like the writing more, you know what I'm saying? So tell the people a bit about some plays that you got popping. Before we get into the deep talk, we got a few minutes. We gonna, like I said, this might go over the hour, you know what I'm saying? Because it's a family episode. So tell me a bit about some of the plays you got, the name of them, and what was the inspiration for that?
Okay, so now I only put out the one play. The other play is still sitting in the book because what I did was I actually came on social media and I get it. People want to get paid.
Right.
You know, when I get the money, you'll get the money. But what I did was I asked for volunteers, if anybody wanted to sign up to be in this play. Everybody said yes. I'm like, it's volunteers, volunteers, volunteer. And once I start putting it together, everybody backed out. But that's okay. So that's still sitting in the closet. But the play that I actually got off the ground and sold tickets to and everything, that play was entitled Every Smiling Face is Not a Smiling Face. And that was back in 2017, 2016 or 17. And pretty much it was a play. And actually, people say, well, it was a monologue. Yeah, it was a monologue, but I performed different characters. So anyway, it's like a one-woman show set to music and writing. So this literally, in reality, it was about myself and my experiences, being like the young old head. Like, I didn't realize until people started telling me, like, although I'm younger than a lot of my older cousins, I'm the one that a lot of people come to and expect certain things from and rely on. And I never knew that. I just thought I was just doing, being helpful and doing what I do. But it comes to a point, and this is for everybody, this is a message. You have to take care of yourself, because nobody's going to take care of you like you can. And you can extend your hand and do whatever, but you have to have deposits.
Yeah. And taking care of yourself is most important, because if you don't take care of yourself, you can't take care of anybody else. That's the main thing about that. You know what I'm saying? Especially when you hold it down, like you said, you're a mother, you know what I'm saying, a grandmother. And the grandmother means you the matriarch. You know what I'm saying? That means you really got to hold it down. So I understand. I don't understand because I'm not a grandfather yet. You know what I'm saying? But as that family cycle goes, and being in this family, I understand that it's really love in this family. Like, it's real love in this family. So I understand it.
Real love.
Yeah, and I come from a family that has love, but it's like that's all I'm gonna say. You know what I'm saying? But
guess what? We can, and I get it. We can all say that,
like,
because we all
fight a lot. Like sometimes we can be divided, and then sometimes we can be together. You know what I'm saying? It's just what it is.
That's every family. And the thing is that it wasn't even my circle that was doing the pulling. Like, your children, you expect certain things. My children, grandchildren, things wasn't even that. It was cousins and aunts and uncles and in-laws and everybody. And so,
and once y'all take somebody in as family, y'all take them in for real. You know what I'm saying? I never experienced that, and it's a pleasure to be in this family. You know what I'm saying? I really enjoy being in the family, and I love y'all all, like, real rap, like
we love you too.
Watching, y'all already know I love y'all all. You know what I'm saying? And everybody energy is always up when y'all see me, and it's the same in return. You know what I'm saying? That's one thing.
Let me say this. I'm gonna interrupt you, and I know you're not supposed to interrupt the host, but I'm gonna interrupt my cousin because I'm gonna say this. The reason why you get that positive energy is because you bring it. You bring it. No. You bring. See how the devil work? See how the devil work, y'all? I'm talking about positive energy. And Shaitan said, I can't have that. I can't have too much of that. Y'all gotta excuse me because I'm eating my chips. Sorry. But this is what happens. So I'm gonna keep talking because I want to make sure that you guys understand what's going on. And I'm only eating these chips because I'm really, really hungry. And because we're all family. I know you don't mind me eating chips. But what did it wait? It's saying something I can't read. It says the podcast. Oh, okay. So I'm not sure exactly what's going on. Okay. Wait, are we still running? I think we are. I'm gonna go out, guys, and I'm gonna wait for my cousin to come back. All right. All right. I'm gonna wait for him to come back. So I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna leave this. All right.
Sorry about that, y'all. Sorry about that, y'all. Let me get my guest back. Little technical difficulty. Nima, if you're watching, come back. Come back in the room. I'm sorry about that. It was a little technical difficulty going on. So if you can, come back in the room and I add you right back. Yeah, so yeah, the phone kind of glitched on me and it kind of took me out, y'all. I don't know what was going on. This is the second time this happened. That was like on the first episode or second episode that happened to me. But it's never really happened to me before, so I apologize to you guys about that. But yeah, I apologize for that. Here we go. My guest is back in. My guest is back in. And there she goes. There she goes. And we are back. I'm sorry about that, cuz I got some type of glitch going on me. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Oh man, what's going on here? What is going on here?
Nope, I can't hear you. Nope.
I can hear you.
Nope, I can't hear you.
I can hear
I
you.
can't hear you. You can hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I can't hear you. Well, all right. Okay. Maybe
Hold
I
on
should
one
talk and you
second.
just put your fingers up. It's like, no.
1 second. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? You still can't hear me? Oh man. We gonna have to. Oh man. Can you hear me? Damn. One, two.
I was gonna say if you want, you could type up the questions. I was gonna say you could type up the questions. I could just answer them as you type them. I'm
Uh-uh.
kidding. I'm kidding.
We not gonna do that. Can you hear me? Leave the room.
Man, this stuff is tasty. This stuff is
Leave the
tasty.
room. Leave. Leave.
Did you say leave? Okay. Okay.